everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. A quick introduction to start us off. As many of you know, I'm Jane Sutton, and my coworker and partner for this presentation is Chris Brandel. We have been teaching together at vLearn, an online school in Vernon, for the past 4 years, and both have been in the district roughly for the past 9 years. One of the great things about our district is the number of unique opportunities and programs that currently exist for our student population. However, when taking into account the BC Ed Plan and moving towards 21st century learning, finding ways to implement the new curriculum while continuing to build on our current successes will be an onerous challenge, to say. So our presentation tonight will challenge yesterday's way of thinking with regards to teaching and learning and propose a unique and new alternative to the already established programs within our district. So over the past decade, our district has seen a large increase. Oh, there it is. Sorry, thanks. Yeah, a large increase in the number of unique program options available to our grade 8 to 12 students. Many of these programs have been built into local bricks and mortar schools and their timetables, such as our high performance program for student athletes, our Students Without Borders program, and our trades training and secondary apprenticeships. Many of the photos here on this slide represent the various sports and specialty academies that have been developed in conjunction with vLearn, thus offering students the opportunity to learn online outside of the standard setting, all the while still focusing on their sports or their specialty interests.
All right, sweet, thanks, Jane. So behind all these different options that we have for kids, we obviously have our core subject offerings, and those exist currently in, students have the choice of one of two forms. They're either taking full face-to-face or they're taking full online. And to our district's credit, I think we've developed an incredibly strong face-to-face program. And as Jane alluded to, the rapid expansion of our online school has really allowed this explosion of different academies and different options for kids that wouldn't have existed had only the face-to-face option been available. The one model that doesn't currently exist to any extent within our district is blended learning. So what exactly is blended learning? We like to think of it not as one specific thing, but rather a spectrum that really encompasses a whole bunch of different hybrid models and anything that would fit in between the traditional face-to-face or on-site instruction and online instruction. Obviously, at the one far end, you have your on-site, extremely structured, very little student control over any aspects of their own learning. Doesn't require a lot of independence. Most of it's all sort of laid out for them. Obviously, at the other end of that spectrum is our online school and online learning in general, incredibly open-ended. Our district in particular, we work on a continuous enrollment model, so multiple entry and exit points. So it's incredibly open-ended. The level of independence that's needed in order to be successful is incredibly high. So we worked off of Horn and Staker's definition. And to qualify as a blended learning program, anything in the middle of those in that spectrum would have to contain at least part online instruction, part brick and mortar instruction. There'd have to be some student control over some portion or some piece of the time, the place, the path, and the pace. And the combination modalities that are implemented must be done in a way that will provide a seamless integration to the learning experience. So it's this large area in the middle of this spectrum that we feel represents a huge gap in our current offerings. And it's one of the areas that we feel we can relatively easily grow into to continue providing as many options as possible for the students in our district. So besides simply offering more choices for our students, there's other compelling reasons for our district to look at a blended learning model. The ministry, our BC Ministry of Education's BC Ed Plan, in conjunction with the whole 21st century learning, the various initiatives around that, our new curriculum that's coming into play over the next few years, all all of these things, there's a real focus on personalization and how do we personalize learning for each student? How do we provide flexibility and choice for students? And how do we do all these things without losing any of the great work and focus that we've already established on literacy, numeracy, and preparing students to be productive moral citizens? At least in our mind, all of these things really point to all these ministry goals, all point towards and can be accomplished by our district expanding into the middle areas of the spectrum and offering more blended options for students, thereby offering them more choice and the flexibility to personalize. So really what it comes down to for us, I think, is how do we address this new vision of education that clearly our province is moving towards, and how do we ensure that we have models in place that are going to lay the groundwork for the potential for all of our students to meet with success and maximize their potential as we move into this new vision of education. So those are our two questions, and Jane will walk us through the proposed solutions to these.
Great, thanks, Chris. So as you can see, there are many different types of blended learning models out there, each of them targeting different and unique problems that need to be solved. And as Chris stated earlier, we're attempting to personalize learning while offering flexibility and choices to our students. So in order to accomplish this, we are proposing a flex model, with the option, though, to move fluidly along the blended continuum based on the individual needs of the students. So the flex model will allow students the option to take a course or a subject online with offline activities when needed. Students will move on an individually customized schedule with access to various learning modalities. And based on the spectrum seen here, this will allow students the option of moving more towards a rotation model, receiving more face-to-face instruction or support on site, or the option of moving towards an enriched virtual model where face-to-face interaction only occurs when students feel they need it. So some good questions to ask ourselves at this point are, what does this change mean for students, and what controls do students have? So as you recall from Horn and Stater's definition of blended learning, a blended program must allow students some element of control over time, place, path, and or pace. The flex model used in conjunction with our learning management system, Moodle, will allow for continuous student enrollment where the primary instructional component is web-based. This allows students the ability to access content with an internet connection and web-capable device. However, having a site to work in also allows students the opportunity for supplementary instruction and enrichment via those face-to-face sessions with their teacher. So the path that students take is flexible to an extent, and that's based on course offerings and, of course, students' needs. And along with the pace, will be collaboratively set up with a teacher who oversees their program. So moving into this model, it's easy to see how the role of the teacher must change. So instead of being simply the guide on the side or the sage on the stage, teachers will end up being both with this program. With a flexible learning environment, the teacher must ensure students feel comfortable and understand how they can access assistance if they run into any roadblocks, and also to be there to provide support. And that's whether it be personal, educational, or technical, because content is always changing. So the need of the teacher is even higher in that sense. The teacher must also be willing to mentor and guide students through hands-on activities and scale activities up or down to ensure students are acquiring the skills necessary to be successful. And that's really based on their individual goals and abilities. And the teacher must be able to identify and adapt supports based on individual needs. So they must be there to monitor and support students with online studies and also help to make face-to-face experiences as relevant as possible. And when teaching online, teachers must also provide support in real time. So responding to students' questions or giving feedback quickly is imperative to effective online learning, as this speed will allow students the opportunity to successfully move forward at their own pace. So an important question, I guess, at this point is to ask, is how are teachers and students, how are they going to form relationships when content and course delivery is online? So having the opportunity to meet with students in site or at a school and collaboratively discuss, create, and revisit a personalized schedule offers students the chance to have input into their learning. It also allows them to grow a sense of trust towards their teachers and also know that they have an outlet if they need help. So now that we've gone over our proposed model, Chris is going to take over and explain how we see that as a possibility within our district.